AIWAT synergy is ensured by three inventions: generative AI, subconscious training, and guided self-learning.
Mm-hmm.
2 billion people learn English. AIWAT allows to learn a second language by the mechanism used in acquisition of the first language. We acquire the first language subconsciously. All
Yeah,
native,
bias. Yeah.
all native speakers speak subconsciously by some unknown explanation, but non-native speakers try to learn English consciously. Learners create personalized lessons using AI and apply subconscious training and guided self-learning. By the way, question to you. There are 2 billion people learning English. What is the portion of that amount which could be described as English beginners? AIWAT
Mm-hmm.
integrates research and professional training into your language learning. You can not only professional knowledge, not only English skills, but you can do a research using this same AIWAT application. AIWAT develops and measures fluency rate as the main characteristics of intelligibility. And intelligibility does not depend on the number of words which you learned, on the knowledge of grammar or pronunciation. Fluency rate is the main characteristics of intelligibility.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this simple statement was actually proven by Purdue University research, and I can give you a link to it if you want to learn more. What you see on this slide is very important, and nobody ever probably explained it to you. Their personalized lessons, personalization are those buzzwords which are used very frequently today, although they do not say that there are two types of personalized lessons. Type 1, the lessons are created by artificial intelligence for conscious learning. And 99.9% of personalized lessons available on internet belong to this class, to this type. Type 2,
Mm-hmm.
personalized lessons created by learners using artificial intelligence for guided self-learning consciously or subconsciously. So as this slide very clearly shows that those two types of personalized lessons have completely different mechanism and very different efficiency. I would say that all personalized lessons created by AI are ineffective because they require conscious learning, that is memorization. And the best property which our memory has is forgetting. That's why we are forgetting everything.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
The second type allows you to use subconscious training, and I will explain later what means subconscious training. And it means that you will learn a language as a child. You will do the same thing as you did when you acquired your native language. Steven Pinker from MIT has published a book about 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, called Language Instinct. And in that book, he explains we do not think in any particular language. We
Interesting.
think in the language of thoughts, which we acquire by growing up. language of thoughts consists of symbols, feelings, and to understand what is language of thought, you should remember that when you dream, you use purely 100% language of thoughts. When you try to verbalize something in your dream or something terrible and you are crying for help, you will wake up because in the dream you use the language of thoughts. This brings us to a very interesting point that every person, irrespective of how many languages he speaks fluently, thinks in the language of thoughts. Language of thoughts is wired in our brain to our native language, or you can turn it on to any other language which you speak fluently. And that's create illusion that we think in that or other language. We always think in the language of thoughts. But if we know that, then our objective to learn a foreign language actually changes 180% dramatically in the opposite. Because if we try to remember words, sentences, grammar, etc., it's a wrong approach. What is right approach? Learners rewire the known symbols of the language of thoughts to unknown words in a foreign language. Rewire directly, because all, as you mentioned, 1 billion beginners and most of intermediate learners, they think in their native language, which means that their language of thought is directly connected to their native language. And to learn a foreign language, they translate it from their native language to a foreign language, to the target language, and try to remember it as translation. It wouldn't work.
Yes,
That's
yeah, I
why
agree.
it doesn't work. And that's why some people, in my estimate, it's less than 5%, like you and me, we do this wiring directly between the language of thoughts and a new language automatically. And that's why we can learn any foreign language by any methods, because we are wired like that. 95% of people cannot do that. So AIWAT eliminates two barriers. First, forgetting. If you learn a language consciously and you try to memorize the language, you will fail because our memory doesn't have that capability to remember and to keep that in the memory. And more than that, even assume that you remembered everything. It's useless for communication. You can read
Yeah,
and
even if
write, but you cannot use it for communication because you have to produce 2 or 3 words per second for natural communication. And conscious learning, that's why conscious learning doesn't work. It's ineffective. The second barrier is thinking in the native language. That is, cross-translation is the main barrier. And all learners who try to learn a foreign language, they go through a very stressful process of translating from their native language to the new language and try to remember it, or even they think in their native language, they construct a sentence and then try quickly to translate it into a foreign language. It doesn't work. Self-learning revolution. Probably you remember that on my first slide, I mentioned that AIWAT uses three revolutions: AI, subconscious training, and self-learning revolution. Self-learning
Mm-hmm.
is something which is not very easy to explain because the words are understandable. I learn by myself, it's self-learning. Self-learning revolution means something different. By the way, there is a book. This book, you probably don't see
Yeah,
it.
the learning revolution. Yeah, yeah, I see.
The Learning Revolution. The book was written by Dr. Jeanette Watts and co-author. Was sold in 10 million copies. She now prepared a new book, which is called The Learning Revolution 2.0, which has a subtitle, Self-Learning Revolution. And uh, she invited me to write a chapter in that book about IWAT. I did. And this book would be published in the fall. Self-learning
Mm.
means a lot. It means that you are responsible for your progress. It means that instead, and by the way, self-learning also appeared because we understand now that knowledge transfer from teacher to learner is inefficient. Especially now, the more technology we use, the less effective is transfer of knowledge. It's really impossible. You can learn by yourself, but you have to be guided. You have to be explained what are the best methods, what are the best drills, and how to do it. But self-learning is a crucial approach to learning a foreign language. Uh, when you learn, when you read on internet that AI allows you to learn any foreign language, there are hundreds, even if not thousands of such articles. And I don't believe that the authors understand that you cannot use AI for learning a language. You can create chatbot, you can speak, you can provide speaking practice, what you do. We'll come discuss it later in some details.
Yeah.
But, but it is not learning a foreign language efficiently because you can learn efficiently if you use new pedagogy. Applying traditional learning pedagogy and the cutting edge technology wouldn't work. There's a very simple mathematical law which works in every science in the nature. If you multiply a very big number by a very small number, the final result is a very small number. That means if you apply cutting edge technology to the obsolete pedagogy, which has a very low efficiency, you will not improve efficiency. So
Mm.
cutting edge technology by itself wouldn't work. That's why IWAT uses, and here I will explain you, 6 drills which ensure subconscious training and ensure self-learning and ensure all other features which I mentioned, like vocational or professional growth, research, development of fluency, etc. So without those special drills and without this new pedagogy, AI is not a solution.
Mm.
Although it seems like a solution, and thousands of authors offer you to you will learn efficiently, and so on. Now, 6 drills are required to be applied to personalized lessons which you, as a learner, create. Number 1, listen to the recording in the native language with your eyes closed. This drill is especially important for beginners because before they will start working in English on the lesson text, they must visualize, they must understand, the lesson must be comprehensible or understandable. That's why they have to listen to the recording in the native language with your eyes closed. You may ask why to close your eyes. Because when we look at each other now and we see everything around us, we use about 60 or even 70% of brain power to visualize, because visualization or just seeing is a very complex process. And as somebody said it very cleverly, we see not with our eyes, we see with our brains. When you close your eyes, you free 60% of brain power, and it is used for visualization automatically. That's why every word which you will hear in your native language, you will see as an image, as a picture, and you will create and understand the lesson on which you will work in the target language. However, if you are intermediate level or higher intermediate level, you may omit the first lesson. It's not necessary to listen to the recording in the native language, but it gives you flexibility. This is a unique application, AIWAT, that is equally useful for beginners, intermediate, or even advanced learners. Drill number 2. Listen to the recording in the target language and follow the text without pronouncing the words. In the target language. So you listen to the recording in English, if you learn English, or Polish or Russian, whatever language you learn, then follow the text without pronouncing the words. You are preparing your brain, you give information, you are priming, that is preparing your brain for subconscious training in next drills. Drill number 3. Highlight the sentence with an unknown word and translate it into the native language. So you first make the lesson which you have created 100% comprehensible, understandable. And if you don't know any word, okay, you don't know the word synergy or vocational, you highlight the whole sentence. Never translate a single word. It doesn't have meaning because a word usually has 10, 15, sometimes 30 meanings. And first, and secondly, to remember, we should know we cannot remember anything. Memory is created not for remembering. Memory is for a different purpose. So that is drill number 3. Drill number 4. Read the text, listen to the reading software, and speak simultaneously. That is the essence of the method. This is so-called simultaneous repetition. This activates your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind will acquire language. by using those reading, listening, and speaking simultaneously, you allow your brain to remember forever language patterns. You acquire intuitive grammar when grammar is not a set of rules. Grammar is a feeling what is right and what is wrong. So this is the most important drill. And in this drill, we do opposite what language does. You do also read, you do also listen, and you also offer to speak. However, in your case, you do all those three processes separately. And if we change it to simultaneously, we change the part of the brain which is used for learning language. Because if you do it separately, it means you use your conscious. If you do three actions at the same time, it means subconscious. Why? Because our mind, our brain, is designed in a way that it can do only one or two actions at the same time. When you do three actions at the same time, it automatically activates subconscious mind. And if you read something about the conscious and subconscious mind, Daniel Kahneman has written a book on that, Thinking Slow and Fast. Actually, he applied that principle to economy. It applies to any subject, any science, and he received Nobel Prize for his application. I am the first researcher who applied this principle of doing three actions at the same time for learning languages. Drill number 5. Click the record button and read aloud the text without listening to the reader. You understand that we are all now digital. You like to share. You will be able to listen to a recording and try to not analyze it, just listen. If you like recording, then you can share it with your friends or with your teacher if you use a guided learning. And the next drill, develop fluency and measure it quantitatively by Flow Speech Fluency Testing. The known number, which ETS, the company that does standardized testing in the world, says you must have 150 words per minute to pass standardized English tests. So to increase your fluency from 30, 5 times, 500% to 150, it's impossible to do consciously. You have to rely on your subconscious because consciously you cannot speak that fast. Your conscious in memorization recall is extremely slow. So first of all, we have special attention to developing fluency and ability to speak automatically. Otherwise, you won't be able to communicate. Now, I speak with about 90 words per minute, but for testing is not enough. For standardized testing, by the way, IELTS testing is more complicated. You need even higher than 150 words per minute. So fluency is extremely important feature. It, as we mentioned before, determines intelligibility, that is, understandability of your speech. It also determines if you are able to communicate naturally. Now, you see here that this slide shows how to test fluency, but before, because you never saw it and heard about it, I will demonstrate it later specifically. But now I would like to mention a very important feature related to this drill number 6. Develop fluency and measure it quantitatively by Flow Speech Fluency Testing. What is important here is that this is one of 6 drills, but this drill could be turned into an application which is called minimal viable product. Minimal viable product is a product which uses only
I know.
great only one of the features and shows you that it actually works. And what I also would like to mention, and especially when you will see how it works, that if you decide and understand the novelty of this approach and you decide to cooperate, we can do it together. On equity based, we can create this application for fluency development and testing. And it would be very, very popular because it's needed by billions of learners. They need fluency. They need to know how fast they're speaking. And more than that, in AIWAT, fluency testing is done after every lesson. So you see clearly your progress because you can measure it. Not that what you feel, I know language or don't know. You don't have that feeling. That feeling and that question is wrong. You cannot ask yourself if I know this or not. You can speak or you can measure your fluency, and that is the best implicit, that is indirect feedback for your progress in learning language. Fluency determines intelligibility. And here is what we've discussed just a minute ago. High fluency scores of about 150 words per minute are required to speak automatically and pass English proficiency tests. AIWAT helps learners improve their fluency from 30 words per minute for beginners to 150 words per minute for intermediate learners. AIWAT for learning English. Here I show an example of a lesson, and I can also demonstrate it to you, that you write a query in AIWAT, and for example, write an uplifting poem in 400 words for a beginner English learner. Apply 6 drills to the personalized lessons described on previous slides. And learners can create unlimited lessons in English for any other language and use support in any native language. Do you know such a function as a read aloud function?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Do you know a function which is called a read aloud function?
Like, yeah, read aloud, yeah. You just click and then the text is read aloud.
One second.
You have to, I guess that you have to highlight the text and then just click read aloud.
Yes.
Query, write an emotional
Playing from Arcades S22.
English. A young girl.
So now I will show you an example. Here is an example. And here's a query. Write an emotional and uplifting story in English in 500 words based on famous legends from Pakistan. It may be anything. And here is the read aloud function. So if I click on it,
named Amina once lived in the ancient land of Pakistan.
Yeah, I know about this stuff, yeah.
Amina was known throughout.
so you know this. And have you heard the sound?
Yes.
So it is pretty close to just a human voice, natural voice. And you understand also that this quality can be applied to any text. You don't need to record it. It's already possible with the modern technology to have that high quality. More than that, if you click on this button, you can change the reading speed.
Yeah.
And without changing the reading speed, it's not possible to learn a language, because beginners and even intermediate learners, they must use so-called special English, which is by 30% lower than the natural speech. Because when they process this information subconsciously, and because you are reading, listening, and speaking, and you always listen in a headset or earphone, you must have enough time and clarity of sound. So you need to use special English. You understand that?
Yeah. Yes, of course. Yeah.
Now, before I demonstrate to you the fluency testing, I would like just to mention at the end that investing in AIWAT will help billions of foreign language learners to become fluent in about a year. Invest in AIWAT and be directly involved in the next revolution in learning foreign languages. Now I would like to show you how to test fluency.
Is it your app or?
Yes.
Okay. Nice.
So you type your name and then type go. Let me, excuse me. Let me first to describe it, and then I will demonstrate it in action. You see on the screen a word which appears randomly, taken from a lesson or, for example, from a dictionary of 3,000 most widely used conversational English words. And you have to create a few sentences ignited by that word. For example, if you see the word table, you don't explain or don't translate what table means. You start speaking and speak as fast as you can. Before I liked tables, only wooden tables, but lately I noticed that my love to tables has changed, and I prefer now glass tables. And the last table which I bought was made of glass. Doesn't matter what you say.
Yeah.
What matters is that the words ignites your experience and you speak automatically. You learn it. You explain it, but it's not difficult. And that's why, first of all, you introduce in this manner subconscious speaking. Now let's see in action. So you have ability to record, and when you click start, you see the word beautiful. We have a beautiful weather today, although yesterday it was pretty cold and rainy. And the weather in Columbus in spring is beautiful, with average about 70%, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. It doesn't matter what I say. You understand it?
Yes, yes.
Finance. Finance is a very difficult problem, and especially now, because we do not have insurance, or we are not sure how long we will have this job. You can be fired anytime. And so to have a certain amount of money to ensure that you can live without your financial income for a certain period of time before you find the next job is very important. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Plant. I love plants. We have a sunroom
Yeah, I
full
think
of
that we
plants.
can move on maybe.
So you understand this.
Yeah, of course.
Now, what you do not understand, that if you recorded it, and that's you have seen it, but if we, not you, but we, apply to that recording the engine which you already have, because I have changed Lenti, and your voice to text program is remarkable. So you can determine how long I was speaking, how many words I used, and you can easily determine my fluency of any learner. So we can easily, I would say that maybe in a few weeks, we can create an application and start advertising it and selling it. Will have a tremendous impact. First of all, Przemysław, you have learned by a lot of reading, etc. And, I have more experience, and I would like to mention that I never build an application. I never did it in my 40 years of experience based on your experience, on your knowledge. You are very special. You have to learn the so-called average learner and try to give him something useful. Saying that my application is not interesting is opposite to the truth, because I've stressed, maybe not enough, that I create my own lessons. I create the text, which is extremely interesting to me. Now, to say that you have to read a lot is, unfortunately, I agree with you, you have to read a lot, but you have to be realistic. And all the science now, I have had children and grandchildren, and only 1 of 5 is reading. Because reading is not an activity which is used by digital learners, by young learners. I would never recommend to say, read a lot, because I understand that it is not practical. Because in this application, you can do everything what is interesting. That is why, for example, I can ask there in my inside of application, what are the benefits of subconscious training? I can ask how many words per minute I need to produce to speak fluently. I can ask how many beginners are in the world. I can ask any question, okay? And I create lessons which are of great interest to me. And by the way, I do it. In Lenji, you are following some kind of artificial intelligence, and I tried to talk to her, and I mean, the answers are always based on the information which I input and so on. And by the way, do you know how many companies offer speaking practice? It cannot be used by beginners. That's why 50% of population learning a language cannot use the application. The third one, speaking is not learning. This statement was created, if you know the name, Stephen Krashen 60 years ago. Speaking is not learning. Speaking is a result of acquisition. And that's why you do not have, and please, I will create this recording, watch it again and think, try to be open-minded and understand that now there's about 100 companies that offer speaking practice, and they have very limited success because first, it is not for beginners. Secondly, it uses conscious learning or memorization. And thirdly, you do not use new pedagogy. You do not use subconscious training. Without using subconscious training, you cannot be very effective. Now, you have asked me about application. I had, and I have it still on my phone. I don't support it anymore. An application on Android phone, and I have. Do you have more than 1,000 downloads? I have more than 3,000 downloads, and I don't use it anymore because comparing to what AIWAT can do, it's day and night. You can compare it. I had thousands and thousands of Russian immigrants who learned English this way, and I have sent you. There was a school in Poland by Andrzej Zelinsky, and there is, by the way, still I have found yesterday his YouTube videos, and he was very successful in this school. You must understand you need new pedagogy. What you offer and what you are just said, people need people to talk. It's a cliche. It doesn't work. Everybody says people need people to talk. Right, it's one thing. But here, you need self-learning because you need to see your progress and then apply it to talking. And then when this website would be used by millions, not by thousands, you can organize groups, you can organize support, you can organize anything for talking, exchanging opinions, etc. I stress it many times that you create your text, and what you are describing is exactly what I said. That personalized lessons created by AI are inefficient, are boring, are not interested, and you are explaining that to me. I explained it to you. That's why
Yeah.
I create my lessons, and I can create the lessons are created by using the best emotional poems, by using the book, The Little Prince, or the poems which I love, or Nobel Prize winners in poetry, or Spanish books, or anything which I want, I put into my lessons. The lessons are not created by AI. I created using AI only as a tool to pick up from its, because it has everything in its database. So you are confused. AI does not create lessons for me. I create it. That's why my first lessons, and when I started to experiment with it, I have taken a passage. I loved it, book, The Little Prince by Saint-Exupéry, French writer and pilot. It will develop fluency and measure it. There's no such product on the market. Do you understand how many people are needing this product? And do you understand that it is very easily, because I have the first part, you have the second part. We have only to combine them. Why not to talk about this and only this? When we create this, by the way, there is a very great chance that this product would be immediately bought, because now,
Yes?
yeah,
No,
it,
no.
ETS, it's a company that invented 70 years ago standardized testing and does standardized testing in the whole world. Last year, they had 15 million users going through their tests. Unfortunately, you cannot go to another country and to apply to university without passing exams. And they have a lot of problems, and they are working on new types of assessment or testing. And so if we create this product and we see and receive immediately feedback, not from a few thousands or thousands learners, but millions of learners, this product would be very quickly acquired by a company like ETS. They are looking now, they're advertising for a new type of assessment. But keep in mind that what I have shown you, the first part, which I have shown you, it is actually a patented part. I have patented and described it. You can find it in my patent, which was issued 22 years ago. In US patent issued in 2002, I've described the flow speech fluency testing. So if we create it, nobody can copy it without actually asking for licensing. So why not to create this product, and then you will have a new approach, a new way, and to create it, you don't need a huge investment of huge amount of money or time. Focus on this question only. Yes, and so it develops and measures. I would never separate those two words. It develops and measures, and that is the innovation of this approach. It develops and measures, and it introduces you to a kind of subconscious training, because developing, when you see the word and you have to create a few sentences from your experience, it could be done only subconsciously. If to produce those sentences. So you develop automaticity in speech. So developing fluency and measuring it, it would be a wonderful tool. You are changing the direction, but everything is the same, because your motto, your motto on your website, you have written, use conventional teaching to cutting edge technology, is wrong. You cannot use conventional teaching. You have to use a new pedagogy. And you do not understand that to start something, you start with a very simple tool like this one. It wouldn't take that much money or time. Think about it and give me your answer. That's all.